Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Awaken and Ascend. If you're new, I am so glad you're here. I am Jennifer Regular, your host, and I'm here with a very special guest, always every week. But this one is Rudd Larsen, and he is joining me from Nebraska today, being able
Yes.
to spread love and positivity out into the world, which of course excites me because who doesn't want that? We need so much more love, so much more
Amen.
possibility and positivity. And Mark brings that because he is a dream catcher. He helps those that have felt like they've lost their power, their identity, even their dreams, perhaps, their ability to even dream. And to restore that, they need to feel loved. They need to feel in their power, to be seen, to be heard. And Mark, I am so glad that you're here
Mm.
joining us today so
Well,
that
thank you.
every single person that is listening and watching can really feel that, to feel that, because I so believe that who you are makes a difference and
Yes.
that you are meant for this world. And so, Mark, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, for showing up for all of us today. Thank
Well,
you.
well, thank you for having me as your guest. I look forward to this. When we get to talking, we've gotten to be talking quite a bit lately, so I very much look forward to this because, and it is all about love. The world is just so in need of that, and yeah, and that's why I started Dreamcatcher because there are, like you said, so many people that aren't living their dream lives and are lost. They're looking for something, and most of them are looking for love. They just want to know that they mean something to this world, and that the life most of them are living isn't what it has to be. There's something so much better out there waiting for them.
Yeah, yeah, we have such a basic need, don't we, Mark, to
We
feel
do.
loved and to feel safe. And
Yes,
I know, especially in the world right now, it's kind of hard to gather
it is.
those feelings of love and safety for each other, for ourselves. I mean, we don't even really take the time to hold space for ourselves anymore.
We don't.
But we're talking about this right here, right now. What's brought us together? What's brought you on this path, this soul path? Because this is what comes out of living your soul's mission is the love and the positivity. Otherwise, we're looking at other kinds of outcomes, right?
Yes,
Other
yes,
kinds of
yes.
beliefs. So I'm really curious, like how you got here. What lit your path? What brought you into a place where you were able to build that capacity for love and positivity and to be able to shine that forth?
Yeah. Well, it goes back quite a ways because I've always loved people, even when they didn't love me so much back. As a kid, I was childlike, and I still am to this day. But I always wanted to be, always wanted to be loved and make a difference. I could see. I voiced kind of to my own drummer, and we were just talking before we got started that I was anything but loved in school when I was younger. I was mentally bullied, wasn't physically, and so to preserve that, so I didn't get bullied or like hurt, not physically, but I just got quiet. I didn't say anything, and some people couldn't hurt me. At least I perceived that they were hurting me because my voice was not being put out there. But it was. I couldn't take it. I mean, it was me protecting myself, and it got to the point where actually in high school that I was so quiet. I didn't say anything, and that I won an award in front of the school. School was doing it as trying to give me something. They were trying to award me because I wasn't part of anything in school. I'm going to cry here, and they were trying to do something that to make me feel good. And but the thing is, when they put this award for the quietest person in school, I went up in front of all these people that had been doing this to me, and was traumatized. But it all led to today because I got to the point where after that, after high school, I was so fed up with being quiet. I just I don't want to live this way. And it's just I made very much a conscious decision that I was going to start using my voice. And because I even when I was going to college, I just I'm a hugger. I love to give people hugs. I just want to help people, and so I just decided that in college, I started finding my voice. I started doing a lot of things, started helping people, um, and I started this journey. But it wasn't really until that I got married to my wife Cheryl, and that I really found my voice because we actually have been married 33 years as of last month, and she's had cancer 3 times. And first time was very minor. Second time was colon cancer, and I mean she had a tumor the size of a volleyball, and had 6 things wrong. And it's just like it just threw me. I mean, it changed my whole world, and hers also. And it's just like, but she's very much tougher than I am by a long ways, because she did that, and the doctor came out and he's like, if your wife is complaining about pain, she really does have it, because he said this volleyball-sized tumor should have been excruciating pain, and Cheryl doesn't complain. I mean, if she's complaining, there's something really bad. But she was good. We were gonna take a we were going to celebrate, that got, and everything kind of went back to normal, and I was getting sort of on this journey of helping people more. But it wasn't until 2015, 2016, when we were going to go on our 25th wedding anniversary to England, we were all getting physicals and colonoscopy and everything, because we were that age to do that. And I had mine, no problem. And she went in like a week later, and she was the very first one in the morning, and I was supposed to pick her up at noon. Well, they told me to come back. They told me that they needed me to come back later. And then when I came back later, the doctor was crying. And it's like, oh, this can't be good. I thought it was not good when they had me go away for a while. And this female doctor, which she's an awesome doctor, came in and said that they had found quite a bit of colon cancer, and they didn't realize how far at that time it had metastasized. They got her in very quickly, thought they had gotten it all, and it ended up that it had gotten everywhere except for her lungs. And I thought, I thought I was going to lose her then. I mean, it's just in. She started intense chemo and lost her hair. I mean, she has a lot of hair. That was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, is to shave her head. It was it was tough. And so she, with the intense chemo, because she'd have chemo 3 days in a row, and it really took a toll. And it got to the point, it's like, if I'm going to help people, if we're going to do these trips, everything, some days, it's like, we better do it right now. So to get distraction off Cheryl's chemo and everything else, we started taking day trips, mini trips, because we were always going to travel. So it's just like, and everybody's like, well, you don't have, because it was expensive, but you just have a way of finding the money, because you have to pay for the treatments. And we started doing that, and we were starting to inspire people, because it's like, wow, you're doing this when you're going through that. And she, once again, um, she pulled through. They had taken a foot of her colon out. She thankfully didn't have to have a bag or anything. Um, she's very much cleaned out. I mean, it's just like, and I told her, because it seems like every year of our marriage, a year's that ended in 5, she's always had some kind of cancer. And I told her we're not repeating next year, and she agrees. But she got well. We started doing really a lot bigger trips. But I started becoming, because I don't know if you know that, but I'm a life coach. Actually went to San Diego. I knew some people out there, became a life coach. And there is something about proximity, because these people were like-minded, and they became instant friends with Cheryl and I. And they have, especially this one, Katie, who is an angel. She directed me to these people that could make me on this path that I'm on today. And we all know that was directed the way it was supposed to. And I did that, came back at 2019, started doing a little bit of coaching and stuff like that. And that it resonated with me. But like I think I told you the other day, people wouldn't show up. Most of the people would show up a few times, and then it's just like kind of like a diet at the beginning of the year. They're so excited about it, and then they would kind of taper off. And it's like, I had, my calling was bigger than that. It felt right, but it didn't feel quite right. And so The universe has crossed paths, with people that can help me, and with speaking, and it's just gotten to the point where I just, it's my goal. I had done a handyman business for over 2 decades, and that was great because I got to help people there. But it just wasn't what my calling was. There was this thing in my heart that it's just like there's got to be something more where I can change the world. And then this year, well, I'll go back to last year. Last year we met these people that we went to Italy with, and it ended up being that they were a speaking group, and we were actually going to have some learning how to speak kind of differently than on stage. And they were awesome, and they became immediately family too. And it was just like, and this Jesse, who is kind of the head of that, has kind of directed me to different ways, kind of like doing podcasts and stuff like that. And the podcast, when I started over 3 years ago now, was another way to reach out because everybody has a backstory, and that's one thing it taught me, that everybody's going through something. You know, we have to be compassionate, show love, because a lot of times people don't show. Most of the time, people don't show you what they're going through, and show them that they're supported. They can be supported. That there's a whole another realm out there that we don't really know until a lot of times when we go through these um, trying times. And then this year, actually, after we got back from Italy last year, all of our investments, everything disappeared. And it was just like, okay, so I've never been that way. I've always had money, and money was not a problem. And it's just like, okay, everything, or it was always pending. We try to get our money from our investments, and we'd never get there. And it got to the point where we were running out of money, and we were losing everything. And we have this house because the bank is so nice, and I really learned all the people that they're there to support, and that's been very humbling. But it was just like, these people are there and have been there in this last 6 months to support us. And I just want to and that's when we were talking earlier, that I got to start talking to spiritually, God, my guides, whatever, angels. And that God told me that he's like, I had to take it all away so you depend on me. And it's like, yeah, I guess that's true, because I had to surrender, because there was no other way out. It was just like, because if I had something, it went away. And it became very humbling, and surrendering was very peaceful, because it's like it's all in his hands. There's nothing else, nothing I can do. And that's kind of, it's just been humbling between the podcast and the people who have helped us recently in over the years. Um, it just, it's kind of what I hopefully what I put out, I'm getting back. And it's just very, very awesome. And that's kind of how I got started. That's a long route there. So
I
but
love I love that path, and that's just it. Like sometimes we go through a lot, to come
yes.
to realizations.
Yeah.
And it's so
Yeah,
powerful what you said there about surrender being so peaceful.
it is. It's very
And
peaceful.
it's really being patience in action,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, surrendering to the process, trusting the process, having faith that we are
Yes.
guided, and then what we need is there for us and will continue to show up for us,
Yes.
even when it
Yes.
seems like it's going away.
Oh, it does seem like it.
Yet
Yeah. And it,
reminds us, they're like, no, no, you're okay. You're okay. Just,
yeah.
keep up the faith. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of what you shared too, Mark, just shows such a testament of the power of choice. You
Yeah.
choosing to speak up and not be quiet anymore,
Hmm.
to be able to use your voice, and that
Yeah.
you and Cheryl decided to go on this road trip and to go
Hmm.
travel, and
Yep.
being able to choose that. And they're like, but you're going through all of this. Like, it's choosing our own experience. Yeah, those circumstances, those things are happening. It's not like
Yes.
we're in denial of them. We're just
No. No.
choosing to experience it differently.
Yes.
And this is
Yes.
where we no longer need to be a victim of our circumstance. We are not our
Yes. Amen.
circumstance. right? We get to consciously choose how to resume this life based on what we now know,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, exactly. Yes. It's
Right? Yeah, exactly. And look how quickly Cheryl recovered because you were doing what you loved. You followed that. You
yep.
were in creating what you wanted to be experiencing, this travel together, being together,
Yep.
and
Nothing
doing
better.
the love, the joy. And it's a real testament to how that works because she
Yeah.
recovered,
She
you know.
did.
And
Yeah.
then
I
even
mean,
when the money seemed to be disappearing, you recovered that too. Like, so
yep.
again, it's just
Yep.
like those testaments of faith. Things do ebb and flow. They're
Yeah.
not
Oh, yes.
always gonna look like how they look, and that
yeah.
goes in both ways. You're not always
Yep.
gonna have like a low cash flow. Sometimes it's gonna be high, sometimes it'll be low. Sometimes our
Yep.
moods and emotions will be high, sometimes low. There's an ebb and
Yes.
flow that goes
There
on. That's
really, really
the
is.
process of life. It's so
It
hard
is.
sometimes to accept that and to
Oh,
say
yes.
to that. So I loved when you said surrender is actually peaceful. It's not
yeah.
scary. It's
It
actually
isn't. It's
peaceful.
just it's just it is. It's just I think until I did it, I don't know if I ever felt that peace.
Mm.
It's just for anybody that hasn't been through it, it's just it's just so awesome. It is so peaceful. It's just I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it is. And I pray Cheryl eventually gets to that because Cheryl is not to that point. She's still of that where she knows she should surrender, but and I told her, I said, didn't you surrender when you had the cancer and the one that the colon cancer? And she says, well, I did then. And it's like, so what happened there? And she says, well, all this stuff that's happened since Italy was our fault. And it's like, we did our investments and we did everything correctly, So why would all six different investments turn independent? You know, even my bank hasn't been able to figure that out. And it's just like, no, we didn't do anything wrong. It's just what the God said. He had to have all the way. Otherwise, we would have kept on the same path we had been on. And He wanted us to get to another level so we can help more people and know everything that we've gone through in the last few months, um, which, like I said, has been very humbling. But
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting that you say that, Mark, because recently I've been contemplating with the idea of if wealth actually means money.
mm,
Often we think of it that way,
we do, yes,
but there's a lot of inner wealth too that we
very
have,
much.
a lot of inner
Yes,
resources that we can
yeah,
tap into as
yeah,
well. And I think it's
yes,
so important to come into that place inside of us,
I
that
agree.
knowing, that inner resourcefulness, so that we can resource ourselves, our time, our energy, our money, our
Yes,
experiences,
yes,
our health, you know,
yes, yes,
all come from internally rather than depending on external solutions.
yeah, yeah.
And I think there's so much power in that too, in being able
I
to
would agree.
recognize our true source of power and
Yes,
influence and
yes, yes,
security and safety and all of that. And all
yeah.
of, yeah.
I know what you mean because really the wealth of people we've had that have supported us and helped us out. I mean, talk about wealth. I mean, you don't know you have that wealth until something like that happens, and these people step up. And it's just like my bank. Um, and I know this is all going to progress to something else. And I told my bank when this all progresses to the next level, I'm throwing in them a party, because they were so supportive. I just it has just been so great, and that's God. My guy told me it's like your backstory is going to be your main focal for helping people of the world, and it's like then it was definitely at the time I may not thought I was worth going through, but if I can help people, it was worth going through because I wouldn't have the feelings, knowledge of what some, and I think that's one reason why I feel so passionate about people on the streets. We were in New Orleans last summer, in San Diego when I was doing it, and so many homeless people, and I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine that,
Mhm.
and it just they're not able to catch their dreams, but people kind of look down on them. It's like, go get a job, go do this. You're just, and you know how hard it would be not to do something like that when they don't even have a place to live, or maybe even food. I think we look down on so many people that really I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. And especially in New Orleans, we had to walk around them all. And it's just, there's something not right there. And that's one thing that is guiding me towards something there. Or where we just give them a meal. And yeah, that feeds them for, that meal. But what does that solve? That doesn't solve anything. They're back to being hungry in a short amount of time. Why aren't we, including myself, doing something that gets them off the street, gets them, trained for something? And yeah, there's going to be people that won't resonate with that. They're just, that's their identity. But there are a lot of people out there that, they couldn't pay something, or and they couldn't pay rent, and they just became on the streets, because of something happening in their life where they weren't able to. We could have been that way too if we hadn't had such kind people around us.
Mhm.
With the bank giving us time to pay our mortgage, and so I guess that resonates very much there, and taking their power back, because they've lost all their power. They have no power.
Mhm.
They just get looked down on, and have to live in terrible conditions. And all that, I think of all the ripple, because God gave them dreams too, and that they would, they probably dreamt about, that they're not able to do it because they're on the street. And yeah, there's going to be some. I'm not sure what the way is going to be, but I will be helping those people. And I talked to a lady the other day, and I think of homeless in the United States mainly, but I was talking to a gal in Barcelona, Spain, and she said it's terrible there too. And
Mhm.
it's like, oh, really? I didn't realize that. So worldwide problem, but there's a lot of things that have been called to. It's like maybe change people's perspective, and that's that's where I'm being guided. I'm not for sure how that's going to look, but my heart's definitely going that direction.
You
So,
don't always have to know where you're going, just that you're on your way.
hmm
And I remember being told, not told, it was shared with me,
hmm hmm
that, the only time to ever look down on someone is when you're reaching out your hand to help lift them up.
yes,
you know
I
and I think
very
that's
much
so
agree.
powerful to think about too,
Yeah, I do
and to
too.
see what that's mirroring in us too, how that makes us feel. Why do we get angry or agitated at them, or
hmm
uncomfortable, or want to
Yes,
avoid them, or
right.
look at them, like, even if you do make eye contact and you smile, you've just made a difference to their day.
Exactly. Yes,
They were seen.
yes, and they really are. They aren't seen.
Even if you can just acknowledge, a lot of us may feel
hmm
powerless, like we don't know what to do or how to do it,
Yep.
but just even acknowledging that
Yep.
person and acknowledging
Yep.
the parts of you as
hmm
well, restores
Yes.
that connection. But I want to go
Yes.
back because you mentioned about your backstory, and you spoke about bullying earlier and the impact that had
hmm
on you, and how traumatic it felt to earn an award.
Yeah.
Traumatic experience, and this is the thing: when we look down on each other and
hmm
we ridicule and humiliate and degrade and oppress each other
Yes.
in such a way, and yet years later you're like, okay, enough, like, I have a voice and I'm going to share.
Yes.
And it wasn't so
Yes.
scary anymore to be able to start expressing yourself. And I remember
hmm
for me, I had been in a not great loving marriage where,
Okay.
my life was threatened. It wasn't safe
Oh
for me
wow.
to have where I was known. And yet
Uh
there was
huh.
such a calling, as we mentioned earlier about this calling, for
Yep.
me to be on the world stage, so to speak, and
hmm
like, and to share and to be a fuller expression of who I was. And that purpose driven aspiration was stronger than the fear, thankfully.
Yep.
That, because,
Yep.
like, how can I put out a website, or, like, start talking
hmm
online, like he's gonna find me, and
Yep.
and feel
Yep.
threatened. And I was like, but I had faith that it was gonna be
hmm
okay. I
Yes.
recognized
Yes.
that truth was my protection, and
Yep.
that if this is I'm being called to do, then it's okay. And so
Yes. Yes.
I put my power in my higher power, and not in
Yes.
my,
Yeah. The
right.
other. Yes. Yes.
And that's what it sounds like you did too, Mark, when you found your voice and was able to start expressing yourself, that
Yeah.
you reclaim that power, the
Yep.
ability to be who you are and speak
Yeah.
up for what you stand for and decide how you're going to live your life, and then devote your life to that surrender to your soul's calling,
Yeah.
instead of the expectations that are often come about through this obscure place. Like it's like a fog, like this dense,
It is.
cloudy space, and fog as an acronym for fear,
Yep.
obligation, and guilt. Three
Yes.
primary motivating factors for why we do anything that we do. It's
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
out of
No.
fear of rejection, or fear of, something. And then
Yeah.
obligation, of course, because we feel it's expected of us, or that we need to, or that we should. And then the
Yes.
guilt, the shame if we don't, or have a better life than our parents did, you know, or
Yep.
didn't.
I know what you mean.
There's millionaires out there that have homeless children, like
Yeah.
there's
Right.
that too. And that shame, I feel, is like what creates imposter syndrome,
Oh yes, and I
like
know
this
that one.
internalized guilt or fear of something that's actually not even real. It's like this belief, or the wrong mind. Like in Buddhism, they talk about right thinking and right livelihood,
Mm-hmm.
right
Mm-hmm.
view. It's not a right
Yes.
view. It's not to say you're wrong. There's something not right. It's because it's something out
Right.
of alignment. So it's
Yeah.
not like you're wrong as in, you're wrong and you should be right.
Like
It
traditionally,
is
yeah.
like something's not right.
Yeah.
And so it's because you're out of alignment with who you truly are, what you're meant to
Yeah.
be doing. And that's like, I have such a deep desire for each and every one of us to recognize that we have a purpose, that we are
Yeah.
meant
Me
for
too.
this world, and that
Yes.
who you are makes a difference, and to operate from your soul's frequency, because that's what's so unique. That's your unique purpose in
It
being,
is. Yes.
to radiate and what's the word, and attune to that frequency,
Mm-hmm.
so living
Mm-hmm.
in alignment with the frequency of your soul, being able to operate from that space.
Yeah.
So, Mark, how did you find your voice? What gave you the courage to start speaking out and becoming public,
Yeah.
and being even able to share that story?
Yeah. By the time I got out of high school, I hated myself. I was so disgusted that I couldn't even say something, to say something back, or I did not like myself at all. And I just got so frustrated. And so I just, I hated myself. It was disgust. And it's just like, I have as much right to talk as they do. And, they've been doing this to me, and I just got fed up. I just like, I got so that I overcame the fear,
Yeah.
and let me tell you, it was fear. Cause people didn't even know how to take me because I started talking, and it's like, well, we never heard your voice.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, that's true. I didn't. And that was a little intimidating to me because I was putting it out there to the world. But that disgust was stronger than my fear. It's just like, I have to do something because I can't continue to live this way.
Mhm.
And that's what started it. I just it's like, I have to do whatever it takes. It became a non-negotiable, and I didn't even know what that meant then. But it's just like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to be uncomfortable, and and it was uncomfortable. But and then God put very supporting people on my college years too. I mean, they're still lifelong friends. Actually, I joined a fraternity. If that tells you anything, and everybody's like, fraternity. I really went all out. But they were some of the most loving guys I've ever been around. They support and sort of, and still do, and they were awesome, and they supported me the whole way, and they were the beginning of this journey, and they still kind of take care of me. And it wasn't. I mean, yeah, there was quote unquote what you think fraternity, but it wasn't anything like, like Animal House or something like that. It was
Okay.
not like that.
You have to go
Thankfully,
through
it
any
was not.
rough
Because
initiations and like
yeah,
re-traumatized.
and we didn't have, they call Hell Week. The fraternity I was with, which is a national, we had Help Week, and we helped. That's what our week was when we became
Wow.
initiated, and we helped each other, and it was just awesome. They're still around. They're still an awesome fraternity, and it was not like at all like I thought, But I was that much that I was going to change, that I did that. It's just like, okay, this is really going to be the opposite of what old Mark would have done. And they ended up being they've been lifelong friends.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
it's just like, so God has been taking care of me, and the universe has been taking care of me, directing me to today. If I look back, I've been blessed, very blessed. Um, it just, yeah, because if I hadn't been that point of disgust and hatred of myself, I probably wouldn't have joined a fraternity.
Yeah.
And I know when I came home and told my parents I'd done that, and it's like, what? It's like I probably would have said the same thing, but no, it was very, very different fraternity, and there was no hazing, none of that at all. And I'm very blessed that I know those guys. So
And
yeah, that's that. What's that?
you and they changed the narrative.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
in
very,
that
very
you
much.
transformed your story. You're not
Yep.
this, Mark Larson that got bullied when he was a kid anymore. Yeah,
No.
that happened. That was, a point in time and
Yep.
place. And yeah, and
And
then you changed the whole trajectory of your life by speaking up and being able to express who you are.
and and these Yep. Offices, I was actually, the had got a big a deal, but it was still intimidating. But they were moving me along, with this journey, and because that was the first time of being in front of people, speaking was, I can still feel that feeling, but they were just they were being guided by God, and I don't know if they knew that, but they were,
Hmm.
and I mean, and it's very awesome, and I mean, they took care of me. There was actually some people in college years that bullied me, and they made sure that that was not going to go on. So they just, awesome guys, very awesome, and so that's a good story with fraternities. They aren't all the same, and
Yeah.
no, and actually it's Alpha Tau Omega, the beginning and the end, and that they're still around, in the United States. That is one fraternity that I know I would recommend, because they are, they're just different than the other fraternities, and I can't say that for other ones because I don't, but they are definitely different than what my mind had of what they would be like. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that kind of the joining the fraternity, and
Yeah, amazing. Amazing, Mark. I am so grateful that you're here with us, and that you had the courage to talk. And this is what Awaken and Ascend is really all about, like waking up to who we are and our power and our truth, and being able to elevate and evolve in that with each other, and we can ascend together, that we can to move on to higher levels of being, to
that got me started on this journey.
this model of living.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just look at my path, where God gave these people to me, and then they handed me off to somebody else, and it's just getting me to today,
Yeah.
and really I was being taken care of my whole time, and yeah, and I yeah, you have your trials and tribulations, but I, like I said, my life has been blessed, and all my backstory that, I have, and that's another thing that, God has put on my heart, is to write a book,
Mm.
and I am not. That has not ever been something that I've aspired to, but he's like, you need to write that, and you need to get that out there to
Yeah.
inspire people, and it's like, I told Cheryl, it's like, well, that's a new one, because that has not ever been on my heart. But I've been having people come to me now that said, how self-publishing and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, so God's bringing the people in again,
Yes.
and so very interesting. It's actually like we were talking a little bit ago. I find it so interesting how they proceed to get you to where you need to be. It's like, that is so cool how that got me to today,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's the worst thing that gets you to where you really want to be. So,
It
and
is. It is. And it's a gift that keeps on giving,
it is.
You keep getting to unpack that and share that
Yes.
and give more and
Yes.
receive more. It's
Yes.
such a beautiful energy exchange.
Yeah.
And so, what if
It
people
really
want to
is.
exchange words with you, Mark, in a good way? They want to reach out to you, they want to learn more, they're resonating with your story. Is there a way that they can connect with you?
Actually, most of the time I'm on social media greatly, but I have my YouTube channel, which is Dreamcatcher the podcast. They also can leave comments. I mean, I'm on Facebook probably the most, but if they want to reach out there, that is great. I'm definitely there. I'm on Instagram. I'm on soon to be Clubhouse, since that is on my my to do
That's the
list.
next thing, yes.
So, but yeah, YouTube. And that's actually where I've been sharing my podcast first, because I was going the Spotify route first, and actually sharing it on YouTube has gotten me much more people commenting, which I
Oh,
find very interesting, because I figured Spotify would be in that route.
mhm.
So, but I am pretty much everywhere. I'm doing other podcasts, but yeah, Facebook, just Dreamcatcher there. Um, Pretty much anything Dreamcatcher is you.
Fantastic, perfect. And we're going to have all of those links in the show notes as well, and all the different ways that you can get in touch with me too. I'm Jennifer Regular, the Soul Illuminator at Lighting the Path, and some free guides are available for you down in the show notes too. So be sure to look at that. And of course, we have this podcast featured every week, 3 p.m. Pacific on a Wednesday. So make sure you join us, subscribe if you haven't, and be sure to hit the notification bell. That way you never miss an episode. Such powerful stories and insights and a lot of inspiration you come away with. All of what we received from you today, Mark. So I'm so grateful that you're here joining us, that you came in for this. I appreciate you, and I appreciate each and every one of you that have been listening and watching on Awaken and Ascend. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.